Right, well, good morning and welcome back to this week's video. So we're back in the kitchen this week. It is horrendous out there today. I am not venturing out there at all today. So I thought what we'd do is we'll use the time and we'll put together a little hiking snack that I like to use. Well, not just for hiking, it basically gets used all the time. So today we're going to be making biltong. So biltong, it basically translates from Afrikaans. So bil as in butt and tong as in strips. So butt strips really. And it's a way that the Dutch explorers through South Africa needed a way of curing and being able to store meat. And it's basically come a long, long way for this to be a really, really popular snack, not just in South Africa, Zimbabwe and other countries in Africa, but it's spread around the world now. And it is really, really easy to make. It can be a very, very expensive little snack if you're buying a pack for like £3, £4, £5, something like this, for a little tiny little pack of biltong. And it is fairly easy to make, and pretty much most people will have everything that you need in their cupboards, in their kitchen at home. So without further ado, let's just take a look at what you're going to need to be able to make your own biltong. So ingredients wise, it's very, very simple. Now most recipes go for brown vinegar. I like to use cider vinegar. You're going to need a little bit of Demerara sugar, some coarse black pepper, some coriander seeds, some sea salt, and of course the meat. So meat wise, I've got a piece of silverside here. Now I like silverside, it cuts really, really well, it dries really well. It's a really good piece of meat. This piece here I can probably get about 5 steaks out of this. It's got a good bit of fat on it. It's always good to keep the fat on when you're making your biltong. I personally like the fat on the meat there. You can use other cuts of meat like topside, but if you're using like a tougher cut of meat, then you're going to have to stick some bicarbonate of soda in at a certain point of the curing process just to make it a little bit more tender. Right, so let's get this out of the bag and let's cut this up. Right, so meat wise, our piece of silverside that we've got here, you can see there is a good bit of fat on side of this. Now personally, I like the fat on biltong. You can take that off if you want to, but I think it really, really adds to the flavor. So we'll get this cut up. So we'll get our steaks about 25 millimeters thick. And there we go. So spices wise, you can stick pretty much anything you want to into your mix there, whether it's garlic, whether it's piri, whatever you want to put inside of it, chili flakes, you can stick whatever you want inside. Personally, I like to use just coriander and black pepper. So using the good old kitchen ninja, we're gonna just put in 2 teaspoons of black pepper, 2 tablespoons of coriander seeds. Now you can toast these if you want to first, but I'm not going to bother. So we've got 2 tablespoons of coarse sea salt, 1.5 tablespoons Demerara sugar. So we're just going to blitz this for a couple of seconds. Most of the ingredients are the size that they need to be. We just need to break up the coriander seeds. And that's the consistency you want. We're going to pour a little bit of vinegar into the bottom of the dish. Then we'll take our first steak and we'll just take a tiny bit of spice. We're just going to rub that just into the bottom of that steak. And then we'll lay that one into the vinegar. And then we'll just repeat that with the rest of the steaks. Laying them down. And then before we put the rest of the steaks in, we'll just drizzle a little bit more vinegar onto the tops of the steaks, and we can then cover them up. Just rub all of the mix into the meat, and then just drizzle in a bit of vinegar over the tops of the steaks as well. So there we have it. That is the first part done. So that is now going to get covered in cling film and go in the refrigerator for about 24 hours. Every 2 to 3 hours, I'm going to turn each one of these steaks inside just to make sure that they're all getting marinated with the mix that's inside of there. But it smells absolutely fantastic. Right then, so here we be, 24 hours later. So I've been regularly turning this about every 2 hours. So you put the top steaks at the bottom, swap them over, vice versa, and all of that malarkey. So we're all ready to go to the next stage. So the first thing we're going to do is make something to hang up the steak. So you can use the metal hooks, but I'm quite limited with space, so I've got a little bit of a hack that I do with some butcher string. So we'll make these up first. So I'm basically going to take a length of string, roughly about the length of the chopping board here, and I'm just going to cut up one of these for each of the steaks. Before we put them up to air and dry, we need to wash the steak. So we just need some lukewarm water And we're just going to make a little bath for our biltong steaks. We're going to add just about a tablespoon of vinegar into the lukewarm water. And then before we start washing the biltong steaks, we just need to get our drying area ready. So grab yourself some kitchen roll, lay out a couple of sheets, and all we're going to do is just take each steak, dip it in the lukewarm water, and then we're just aiming to get off most of the spices off it. And then we'll lay that down onto the paper, and we'll just pat these dry. And then you might need to just do that again with another piece of paper. So all I'm going to do is literally just tie a half hitch into that bit of string, and then using a bamboo skewer, I'm just going to push the half hitch onto the end of the bamboo skewer. I'm going to take the steak and I'm just going to push that through, and then all I'm going to do is just tie these two bits together, and then what I'm going to do is just make another loop about halfway up. And that's how I do my steaks. There is meat in the building. So 5 steaks ready to dry. So like I say, this time of the year, winter here in the UK, I'm going to dry this close to the flue from the fire there. And it's not because I need the heat, because what you need to remember is biltong is air dried and it's not heat dried like what jerky is. So you need a good bit of ventilation. So where I'm going to hang this next to the fire, there's not a great deal of heat coming from it. It's just the ventilation and the movement of the air going up from the wood burner there. So we're going to hang that next to the wood burner. In the summer months, you can pretty much stick this anywhere where you've got a good bit of ventilation. This time of the year, there's not a great deal of ventilation because windows and doors are closed and things like that. So you need to have it somewhere that's got a good bit of ventilation, or with a specific drying box for this. Now I'll stick a link in the description there to a video of how to make your own drying box. It's really, really simple to do, but I'm going to stick this next to the fire there, and that should work nicely. So a good sign is that you can see your steaks rattling in the ventilation there. That means there's a good bit of ventilation, and it's going to make sure that your steaks dry really, really well. Like I said, all I'm going to do is move these about for the next duration of the curing time. Their steaks about this size are going to take about 4 or 5 days this time of the year to cure properly, and that depends on how much you want it cured as well, and that's down to what is known as the wetness of the biltong. So when we talk about wetness, it means if it's wet, it means it's still red in the middle, and that's how I really like it. It's really easy to carve and eat, and some people like it when it's cured all the way through. So what I'm going to do with these is just over the next 4 or 5 days, just keep moving them around, and I'll just start carving little bits off it just to see how it is, but we'll leave that for 4 days. Right, so it's been about 5 days. They've just been sat here next to the wood burner, as you can see, and it's not on, but there is a little bit of air movement, obviously, just with the air coming up from the wood burner and stuff. You can see that they're just gently just swaying away over there. And then all I've been doing is just, you know, every 4 or 5 hours, something like this, I've just been moving them around and just changing the height. So there's a little bit more movement between each of the steaks. Like I say, I'm limited with the space that I've got. I really need a bigger rod coming out of there instead of a screw stuck in the wall. So then all I've been doing is just moving them around. We've got the different knots inside of the string there, so I can move them up. I can move them down a little bit further just to make them just get a little bit more airflow between them all. But they are pretty much ready. Now if we take a look at these steaks here, so just by squeezing them, you can sort of feel how soft they are inside there, and that's when we spoke about wetness of biltong, whether you like it red and wet in the middle. So these are basically wet at the moment there, so you can just tell by just the feel of them. If you don't like them so wet, then you just leave them to dry a little bit longer. Right, let's get these off and let's have a taste. Right, so there we go, 5 biltong steaks, absolutely perfect for my adventures. So like I say, you can flavour these pretty much any way you want to. Garlic goes well, piri piri goes well. Chakalaka, that's a very typical South African spice there, but personally I just like the coriander. But these are absolutely perfect, ready to be used on adventures and stuff. So storage wise of these will pretty much last about a month, like they are as it there. Obviously the more fat you've got on them, the less they're going to last. Another good way that you can do them is you can freeze them as they are like this. You can stick them in a bag, or you can vac pack them as well. Now if you're going to vacuum pack them, the best thing to do is to wrap them in some paper towel, just so that you're not going to pierce the vacuum bags when you put them in there. Right, let's cut one of these open and have a taste. It's absolutely horrible. You don't want any of this. Perfect. Right, let's see what Chief Taster thinks of it. Didn't even touch the sides, did it? But then again, she does eat cat feces. So there we go. Thank you for watching this short little video on how to make biltong. It is really, really simple. And do play around with the recipe and the flavourings and stuff like that. And please let me know in the comments what flavourings you stick in your biltong. Very, very simple to make. I'll stick a full link to the recipe in the description there below. And also a link to that video on the biltong box that I mentioned earlier on. So thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, my name is Martin. I'm into my hiking, my fishing, my bushcraft, and just generally being outdoors. And hopefully we'll catch you next time on the next one.